Welcome to the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed Sold program, or we'll buy it. If you have any questions, just give us a call at 799-9596 or check us out online at teamlally.com.
So this is the art part of the show. Adrienne, what does ART, A-R-T, stand for?
Attilio's Random Thoughts.
And they're anything but random, because I think about our Akamai listeners throughout the week and think, what kind of nugget are we going to bring them to them this week? Here is your nugget. You are not your thoughts. I'll say it one more time. You are not your thoughts. Now, this is coming from a...
You are not your thoughts?
This is coming... Okay. This is a quote from a neuroscientist that I heard on the Oprah Winfrey podcast. What is her podcast? Soulful Sunday.
Super Soul Sunday.
Yes. Super Soul Sunday.
Super Soul.
And she had a neurologist on there, or I don't know if it was a neurologist, but she's a PhD researcher of the brain, the mind. And I've heard her on a TED Talk. She actually had experienced personally a stroke.
Okay.
And she knew that, and she was her own lab rat for what goes on with the mind and how our thoughts, our emotions, and everything affect our behavior. Well, if we allow them. And that is what she said. You are not your thoughts. An example, whenever something in your life happens to you that triggers you, what does that mean when something triggers you, besides what teenagers say to their parents when they want to take away their iPhone?
Well, it may get you... I mean, you could be triggered in a negative or a positive way.
No.
But usually it's meant into a negative way.
I'm talking about
into a bad mood.
You triggered me. Now I'm going to go to the gym and work out and eat healthy and get... No, nobody says that. The triggering is connected to somebody... They could. Yeah, and there could be a lot of things. The point being is that triggering is connected to something that's happening in your world. Either somebody close to you says something, their behavior, somebody cuts you off in traffic. What's some other examples? The things that trigger you personally, Adrienne.
Oh, I don't know, like when my kids don't do their chores.
When they don't do their chores.
And there's dirty dishes in the sink when they said that they were going to put them away.
Yeah.
Or when they drink my Celsius and I don't have any left.
Yeah, it's all triggering events.
So annoying.
So do you have any control over your kids not doing their chores, drinking your Celsius?
I mean,
do you have control over that?
I can remind them, and then hopefully they listen.
But whether they do it or not is ultimately their choice, correct?
That's true. It's up to them whether they want to listen to me. Yes.
What you do have control over, what this neuroscientist pointed out, was that when they studied it. There is a, I don't know what it is. There's a gland in your brain that spits out a chemical. I don't know what the chemical is. Let's call it the pissed off chemical. And the time from the triggering event, whatever it is 90 seconds.
Okay.
So in that 90 seconds, if you can just pause, reframe the situation.
Take a deep breath.
Do
some meditation.
Calm down. Then your brain will not send whatever those pissed off chemicals into your bloodstream. The bad chemicals.
So keep the bad chemicals out of your bloodstream.
You have a 90-second window, is what she discovered with her research.
Okay.
And what she says is that cognitively, if you use the front part of your brain as opposed to the lower stem part, the lizard brain that just reacts, that you can control that situation. Because have you ever been triggered and then you do something, get into a conversation, and then regrettable things are said and done?
Yes, we all have.
Yeah.
Everybody.
So
more than
90
others.
seconds, 90 seconds, my listeners, 90 seconds. If I tell you the worst dad joke on the planet, just take 90 seconds.
Yeah, that triggers me, your bad jokes.
If you're triggered by Attilio's...
I'm triggered by your terrible jokes.
By my terrible jokes, just take 90 seconds.
You got to work on the jokes.
Yeah.
And then I won't be triggered.
Yeah.
So anyway, I won't have to use these techniques to keep the bad chemicals out of my brain.
Again, we're hoping to share things in the beginning of the show that you can implement into your life. Don't cost you anything. Just execute them, and hopefully it'll make you a better version of you, and then a better version of you with everybody else around you, and it'll be like a pebble in the pond and sending good vibes out.
Well, speaking of good vibes,
yes.
I have a success story.
Okay.
That we want to share. I know that Augie T likes to share these success stories, but we're gonna share our own success story today. So this one took place on 642 Kakala Street, unit 1607. It sold at $660,000. The seller's name was Aaron.
Yeah.
And so the goal was to find a buyer willing to offer the post-closing occupancy while preparing to move off island.
Whoa. That was
Yes,
a bunch of jargon. What the heck is that? Post-occupancy, what?
Well, he wanted to rent back.
Thank you for the translation to plain English.
All right. So the initial buyer did attempt a VA loan assumption, but didn't qualify.
What's a VA loan assumption?
Okay, well, this is kind of a hot topic because we do have a lot of information on our website about the VA loan assumption opportunities.
I think we should cover it. Take a pause right now.
We're almost done.
Okay,
we're almost done.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
yep. So the buyer did not qualify, and so like it was a big challenge.
Yeah.
So what we did was we came up with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
We helped to pivot to a new lending strategy and closed it at $660,000. And the seller was able to do the rent back and a smooth transition. So done.
We are big proponents of PSI training, and we're going to bring somebody on here in a moment that has a similar mindset. And here's the mindset for you personally and as a business person. The definition of happiness is not walking around with a smile on your face and shooting rainbows out of your butt. That is not the definition of happiness. The definition of happiness is knowing that whatever becomes before you, you have the ability to deal with it and handle it. That is the definition of happiness.
Figure it out.
Speaking of someone that always has these all kind of things going at him.
And always is able to figure it out.
And always comes up with solutions. He
Yes.
is the definition of happiness in the insurance world. Who is that?
That would be Bradley Maruyama with Allstate Insurance.
Hey, Bradley.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Okay. Typically, for all these years, Allstate had a flood policy, but it's a FEMA policy that Allstate slaps their name on. And so we become like the servicers for FEMA. But recently, one of our hurricane carriers has a 2-in-1, actually a 3-in-1. So Palomar or La Lima Insurance, now you can add on a flood rider that will meet the expectations of a lender. So you get a hurricane policy and you add on that flood rider, and it's like having that flood policy in place. The plus to it is that I recently quoted one through the FEMA program. It was $4,400. I re-quoted it through La Lima with this flood rider, and it was $1,139. So
wow,
that's
almost huge.
$3,000 cheaper with this flood rider. So
that's a great
it's
program.
Really nice to know. Yeah, it's just really nice to know that we have another option.
Yeah.
Well, we have a home that we're selling out in Kahuku, and the seller didn't, they don't have a mortgage, they didn't have any, insurance, so we weren't even tracking about the flood insurance. So I started to panic, and I called Bradley and his team, and I was thinking like, oh man, like this is gonna not be good, and they offered this, quote that was very reasonable. Like I was thinking like it was going to be super high.
You guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so for you agents out there, real estate agents, and you have these, some of these properties in these flood zones or beachfront and stuff, that insurance can kill the deal or make it super not enticing for people to want to write offers. I highly recommend that you give Bradley and his team a call.
It could even affect, just the property price.
Yeah.
That insurance is sky high.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
But it sounds like with this program, it could be a lot less expensive than you initially thought it would be.
Yeah.
So, good news, Bradley.
And my team will, always quote both and see which one would be the better route.
Yeah. Are you seeing now insurance increases and tariffs? They seem to be neck and neck for the two most popular topics talked about today, because I have a broker license. So for Keller Williams, the brokerage, I'm what's called the broker in charge, and we have a monthly meeting, and that was right before we came to do the show. And we are seeing the master policy insurances for associations, whether it's CPR homes or condos or townhomes, it's going up. So hence the maintenance fees are going up. Are you getting a lot of those calls for those people with that stuff? And I know it's master policy insurance, and that's not what you do, but what's your take on that before we let you go?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on with the association.
Yeah.
I know. Recently, I've had some requests where the association deductible has decreased.
Oh, wow.
Whereas always increased in the past.
Yeah.
But I did go to an association board meeting, and it is very complex. A lot of these brokers, insurance brokers, are having to put together several different companies to come up with the full replacement costs on some of these associations, because they're still seeing increases. Yeah. But again, as these association premiums increase, a lot of times you'll see that increase in deductible to lower that premium.
Yeah, and that's where you come in.
When you see the
to help them cover that gap, or get the insurance and make sure you're covering that new higher deductible. And just for the listeners, it's other companies that do the master, but you guys are hand in hand, because the people are calling you and going, oh, my deductible went up. I got to make sure my insurance is good. Because I think even the associations are wanting to see that, because they definitely don't want people in their association or property owners getting caught in that gap should something happen to the unit. All right.
Well, thank you, Bradley.
Thanks, Bradley.
As always good information. And this is great news about this flood insurance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Hey, so Bradley has been a expert that we trust.
From the beginning.
What is that expert we trust?
Bradley has been insuring me personally for, I want to say, well over 15 years.
Yeah.
Maybe coming on 20. I don't know. But he's always...
Over 10 years for me on my properties.
Yes. So he's been wonderful, always solving problems. Not that we have like a lot of problems, but when we do have the problems, that's the moment of truth. And every time that it's happened, he's there. And he's solving the problems with us, side by side. Yeah.
I think it's kind of like it's a relationship when you get out of the honeymoon period, and then you wake up next to them and they got the morning breath and the bed head and never brush their teeth. You're like, what the? But if you still love them after that, it's all good. Relationship going to last. And same thing with insurance. Like Bradley is literally the guy that even if you wake up with the morning breath and the major bedhead, you still want him as your insurance agent, because you're like, hey, he's going to take care of us in that moment of truth.
Yes. So we've got a deal of the week in Kapolei. Yeah. This is on 911105 Namahoe Street, unit number 2G. Mm-hmm.
Oh, charming 3-bedroom, 2-bath corner unit townhouse in Ailoa Terrace. Listed at $539,000.
Open concept layout with solid bamboo flooring throughout.
Split AC units in all bedrooms and living room.
Spacious kitchen with stainless steel appliances.
Large walk-in closet in the primary bedroom.
Private upper and lower lanais.
Park located just across the street.
And access to Villages of Kapolei Rec Center with the pool and amenities.
Conveniently close to school, shopping, and dining.
Don't miss this opportunity to own a stylish townhome in the heart of Kapolei.
And I want to speak to that because I've been in the Villages of Kapolei since, I think, 2000. So I've been in the Villages of Kapolei for over 24 years out in Kaupea, Hawaiian homes. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that as a realtor, I see all the different HOA and the maintenance fees out there. And ours is like, when I first moved in there, it was $35, and I think fast forward today, it's like $45-50.
Oh, that's nice.
And that is like super low, because we're seeing these association fees go really high in other neighborhoods. We're talking 100, 200, 300, 400, and so that's been really good. The good news too is they have a rec center, and then they built another one. And stuff like that. So Ailoa Terrace is one of the few townhome complexes within the Villages of Kapolei, because mostly it's single-family homes. So, and it's a great community to live in. We have a community park. Mm-hmm. We got the rec center. If you're in a walking contest with your Keller Williams agents in your market center, you have a lot of space to walk. And if you're highly competitive, you can go walk 10, 11, midnight to get your steps in to beat them. And it feels safe and while being competitive.
All right. So I'm going to share a review.
Yeah.
This is from CS. So this review is for Robert on our team. So Robert has been consistently reaching out to me to give us updates on open houses and other properties on sale here in Eva Beach.
Yeah.
We appreciate his constant communication. For now, we're not ready to buy a new house, but when we are, we will reach out to him. We also recommend him and Team Lally to our family and friends. Thank you.
Hey, a couple of things. So in this broker in charge BIC meeting that I was at before coming onto the show, a couple of key tips that I want to sell for buyers agents, and some key tips I want to share with seller agents and sellers. So a couple things. There's first of all, the SRPDS. What is that, Adrienne?
Seller's Real Property Disclosure.
Seller's Real Property Disclosure. So under the Hawaii Revised Statute 508, D as in Delta, you are required to disclose a material fact regarding a home or property. And a material fact is in its definition, basic definition, is anything past, present, or future that could affect the value of the home.
And it could be affecting the value of the home in a positive or a negative way.
Yeah, but it must be disclosed.
It has to be in writing.
And our advice always, there's always this back and forth. Should I put the seller's disclosure in what's called the miscellaneous docs section, which means that if you click on the listing, you don't have to wait on the seller or the seller's agent to get it. You can just go look at it yourself. And people say, well, if I put it up there and they hear about the yada yada ba 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 ba, they're not going to write an offer. And Chad Shimabukuro is our principal broker, and he said the most brilliant thing, and it's totally in alignment with what Team Lally believes.
Yep.
We don't want that offer because you get into escrow, you waste a bunch of time, and the buyer that was okay with the things in the seller's disclosure has moved on to some other home,
So just
and you're
put it up
wasting a
there.
bunch of time.
And that's what we do.
So the point of that whole thing is this one thing, and we're going to move on to our caller here in a second. But before, I just want to wrap it up and say this one thing.
Okay.
You're never going to get sued. Not never, but there's a 99.9% chance that you're not going to get sued for anything you disclose. But there is a high probability that you will get sued for things that you know about, that they find out, and were not disclosed. So there's your seller's agent and seller's tip of the week. Speaking of tips of the week, we have somebody that's coming on that's going to give you some tips about life. Who is that and what's that about?
So we've got Haaheo calling in to talk about PSI Seminars.
Hi, Haaheo.
Hello. What a great day. I just came back from Japan today.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. So
Yes.
happy to be on the call. And we do have our basic seminar coming up May 16th to the 18th.
Nice.
And on May 15th, we're going to do a free workshop talking about the masculine and the feminine, and that we have both qualities, masculine and feminine, and how to make the most out of life by using that masculine, feminine energy that serves you in getting everything you ever dreamed of.
And for people to help clarify, too, it's not sexual orientation, it's just a behavior format.
Yes.
And that,
and the fact that we all have,
both.
Being in Japan, I noticed it even more so than, because in Japan there's a lot more masculine energy.
Yes.
And then, as my son said, he went on a train that was all pink. And he realized as he was on the train, all pink, that everyone else on the train were women.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in the female car. We know about those because we went to Japan.
Yes, he just got in the car and started, and he said, nobody said anything, but he just felt the energy, and on the next stop, he got out and got on a different train.
Yeah, we were, there was a train station, I forgot, they did this little experiment, and what they did was they put these boards up on the train station where thousands and thousands of people were walking by. And each board, you literally just put a dot if you were from this country. And they had America, they had Japan. I forgot what the other countries were. But when you looked at the board that represented Japan, so America and all the other countries, the dots are like all over the board. What do you think the dots look like on the board for people from Japan, if you had to guess?
All together.
All in rows and columns. All organized.
Very organized.
Very organized.
Very organized.
The word we hear about their culture is very conforming. Conforming is what the culture is, and it's not a judgment call. It just is. And I'm sure you did too. Your son realized it's not about our feelings in the U.S. or himself or his programming. What is the appropriate culture? So we were there and we saw the lines on the ground, and we were like, why does this line say female? Like on the ground where you stand, where you get on the train, on the platform.
Yeah.
And we asked one of our tour guys, like, what does that mean? He said, oh, that means only females can get on during the rush hour.
Yes, because it can be very crowded and there's some creepy people.
Well, it's something like that. And
that's
then,
what it is.
and all of that. So the women were they in their culture, they came up with the women only cars.
Yes.
So that they could,
Feel comfortable.
Yeah, they didn't want any masculine energy inside that car.
Right.
Yes. And he said he felt it immediately.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know, he was rushing to get back to us, and we were in Tokyo, and he had gone to Osaka. And he was just rushing and didn't pay attention, but he said he could feel the energy. And so in our lives, we can feel the energy, and if we can learn to tap into the energy that we need for the moment, because every human being has a masculine and feminine side.
Your message is going out, for example, on radio.
Yes.
And so people, I mean, that this is true, whether you believe it or not. We highly believe it. Just like if you have a radio and it's receiving a signal from the radio tower, you don't see it. There's nothing there that you could tangibly prove that it's there. But when you turn the radio on, you're hearing our voice through the radio. So it's because that radio is what? It's in tune. We as human beings are just like radios.
We need to be in tune.
We got to be in tune.
So to do that, I think that all of our listeners need to go and check out the free training, and maybe if they've already done the PSI Basic or they haven't done it, sign up. Go re-audit.
Give us the dates again. Haaheo, give us the dates again.
The dates are May 16th to the 18th for the class, which is at the Hilton Hawaiian Village in the South Pacific Ballroom.
Nice.
And on May 15th, also in the South Pacific Ballroom, we'll be offering the free seminar. And I would like to invite all your listeners and all of your employees and realtors that have done the basic seminar. We are now offering a free online course that you can take every day, some days, so you can always keep the tools sharpened that you learned in the basic seminar.
That's great.
And it's something that PSI Seminar started in January.
Nice.
And we have monthly classes, weekly classes, on Zoom, in person. So we're offering graduates, over 100,000 graduates in Hawaii alone.
Nice.
Tools to continue to learn and grow.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And then what's the website they can go to register or find out more info?
They would have to, in order to register, they would have to contact me.
Oh, what's the phone number?
Give us the phone number.
808-479-0098. I will send them the link to register. We do the research because we want to make sure that only PSI grads are on the site.
Yes.
PSI Seminars has invested a lot of money to have a PSI grad only site.
Nice.
To allow them to continue to use the tools. Now, I will say this Sunday, there will be a Zoom open to all graduates. Oh, I mean to everyone. Not just graduates.
Graduates or non-graduates.
Graduates or non-graduates.
Yeah.
And so that's just an opportunity to hear what we do in PSI Seminars after 52 years of offering classes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you for the update on PSI Seminars, and I'll look forward to attending some of these opportunities.
Yep.
All right.
Yes, that would be excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Haaheo.
great day.
All right, again, that phone number is 808-479-0098. Again, 808-479-0098. If something's going on in your life and you don't know what it is and you need to make a change, highly recommend you attend one of these PSI Basic Seminars. In fact, we think so much of it. How much do we think of it, Adrienne, regarding our W-2 staff?
That they all go.
Yeah.
And we give them the time off and we pay for it.
And we put it in their position agreement that you have to go. It's not an option because the culture that we have at Team Lally for people who work for us and how we want to serve our clients is it's either you grow or you got to go.
All right. Well, we do need to take a quick break, but stay with us. When we come back, we'll be talking with Dean Otto of Keller Williams Realty Maui. He's going to give us an inside look at the Kohana community and reveal what's driving Hawaii's luxury real estate market right now.
Yeah, it's just a different approach to selling luxury real estate. Stay with us.
Decades 107.9 playing the greatest music ever made. It's Mornings with Augie. Hey, you know someone that moved to the mainland but left the rental property behind? So Amber wanted to create a new investment opportunities on the mainland, but she had to sell her island rental first. So she reached out to our good friends Adrienne Lally and Attilio Leonardi of Team Lally Real Estate Group of Keller Williams Honolulu. Handling the business virtually with Amber, Adrienne and Attilio came prepared with multiple 5-star selling strategies, including adjusting Amber's selling price expectations, and the home sold in days. If you're in the market to sell your home and you want a team that will make you the most money with the least amount of drama, you can trust our good friends, Adrienne and Attilio of Team Lally. Give them a call today, 808-799-9596. That's 808-799-9596. They're trusted. You see their signs all over in my community. Visit teamlally.com today. That's teamlally.com today.
Hey, Sean Hannity here with the only real estate team in your market that I recommend. Adrienne Lally and Attilio Leonardi of Team Lally Real Estate Group of Keller Williams Honolulu. You know, a lot of people may be thinking about selling their home, but they want to make sure they're getting the most money possible. What options do you have available to make selling a home easier?
Well, Sean, the biggest headache people have is not actually the selling of the home, but getting it ready for sale. The cleaning, the repairing, the decluttering. You know, 90% of painting a home is in the prep work, not in the actual painting, and it's not in the actual selling. Well, we got solutions.
That's right, Attilio. Here are the solutions. Our aspirin to the headache of prepping a home is our 10K for Upgrades program. That's where we do the project management of cleaning, repairing, and decluttering. That's how we make our sellers more money.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Call Team Lally now at 799-9596 or online at teamlally.com. That's teamlally.com.
In today's fast-changing real estate market, you need access to the right information to make smart choices. I invest in real estate all over the country, and I rely on smart agents who know their local market inside and out. In Honolulu, I work with Adrienne Lally and Attilio Leonardi. Adrienne, Attilio, and their team sell a home every 72 hours and have over 750 5-star reviews. Go to teamlally.com and find out in just seconds what your home is really worth.
Welcome back, and thanks for listening to the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed Sold program, or we'll buy it. I'm Adrienne.
And I'm Attilio.
And if you have any questions, you can reach us at 799-9596 or check us out online at teamlally.com.
Our guest today is a real estate expert with over 30 years in Hawaii's luxury market, originally from South Africa. He came to us on a full athletic scholarship and earned a degree in telecommunications and film from the University of Oregon.
Since moving to Maui in 1989, he's become one of the top agents in the state. He's also a dedicated community leader, supporting local charities and serving as board president at Maui Preparatory Academy. Please welcome Dean Otto.
Hey, Dean.
Hey, guys. How's it going today?
Great, great, great. Wasn't there a movie? I think there was a movie just came out with your name in it, wasn't it?
There was, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway,
he was a miserable individual.
He was the opposite of the Dean we know.
Yes.
Yeah, he was grouchy, and our personal experience with Dean and who you are as a person is definitely the opposite of that. Super positive, affirming, always looking for solutions. We can tell right away that is why you were so successful in the luxury market and have, literally, in my opinion, clients beating your door down to want to have your representation. But what are we talking about today, Adrienne?
So, we've been actually collaborating with Dean quite a bit these days, and are super excited because we've been able to bring this this concept to Oahu through his Kohana Homes.
Kohana Homes.
So that is the I guess like the first topic is this, the Kohana Homes. What is that, Dean, and how does it work?
Well, how do you spell it?
How do you spell it is a good question, right?
Yeah.
C-O for co-ownership. Kohana, C-O-H-A-N-A. So, co-ownership of family, right?
Yeah.
And what we're doing is effectively bringing together partnerships of family, friends, strangers, whatever it may be. But we're bringing together groups of individuals to co-own vacation homes.
Nice.
And it's kind of an exciting time, man. We're really excited about partnering with you guys on Oahu. It gives us a chance to get into that market. And we really like that area, especially the North Shore. We're really excited about that.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is facilitating this creation of these partnerships to own these properties. And typically we're doing partnerships of between 2 and 4 parties. Sharing in the ownership and the expenses and the use of the property.
Yeah.
So we facilitate the creation of the LLC. And then when we set the LLC up, we always set an exit sale date or set ownership term. And typically on the agreements that we're doing right now, they would range between 5 to 8 to 10 years, depending on the group. But ultimately, it's a preset ownership period of time so that going into this partnership that you have a way to get out of it.
I think that's the in general with businesses or these big properties or these luxury vacation properties is that people get all mesmerized by the opportunity, but then it quickly fades away because they really haven't thought on what the exit strategy was. So you're doing it right from the beginning.
That's right.
And then, Dean, one of the things that I know comes up, like these misconceptions.
Yeah.
How is this not fractional ownership? What's the difference between Kohana Homes
besides how they're spelled
and fractional ownership? Yes.
So what we're doing is definitely not fractional and definitely not timeshare because we with our agreement of our partners to sell together in the future, we stay in the lane of whole ownership, right? So we're not really doing anything dramatically different than any other real estate agent, which is LLC buys a property and then LLC sells the property on a scheduled date in the future.
Yes.
And, as long as everyone's in agreement, the deadline to sell can be extended as far as people want to go. It's when the partnership is in disagreement on how to extend or how to continue on that the property goes on the market and sells and everyone gets their money back. But you're never going to be stuck with a piece of a property. And that's really the primary difference. We don't resell partial interest in properties. We stay in the whole ownership world, which is where we believe the opportunity is to realize the full potential of the asset.
So, these people get in a relationship centered around this luxury vacation home, and then you have a preset breakup date.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually not a bad idea, right? I mean, when you think about it, partnerships really can be great, but they can be very difficult too, right? And most people, what we're doing is not that uncommon. There's friends and families buying real estate together all the time. But the real difference is that they don't have a great agreement and that they don't figure out the exit strategy. And it's something that we take seriously because in many cases we're bringing together people who don't know each other. So, that's another level of detail that you need to cover. And our agreements are very, very detailed and extensive and operating agreements and membership agreements. That's all in there. We sort of bake it into the deal up front. Everyone knows what they're getting into. And as I say, the best thing about it is you can get out of it. And the other good part about it is, and people's reluctance to do partnerships is the interaction between the partners.
Yes.
And if something goes wrong or who's paying for this, and no one really wants to get into that situation. So when we facilitate the formation of an LLC, we stay on as the manager of the LLC all the way through the set term, and we facilitate all of the conversations about need to upgrade, who's paying for what, how does this work, who gets to use it when. We handle all that for the people. for the party, so it's a show up and enjoy experience for them.
Yeah.
So Dean, you've done this a few times, and I'm sure that you guys have learned different things that work and then don't work.
Made some improvements.
And then have included that in these upfront things that need to be addressed. Correct?
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Right. I mean, we've covered everything from default to, what happens if someone wants to paint the house pink and the other parties can't agree on the color or whatever. It's all built in, right? If we can get agreement, if we can facilitate a conversation with agreement, the house will be painted the exact same color that it is.
There you go. You default to the position that the home was in the beginning, and so none of the owners have to worry about showing up to avocado colored shag green carpet. They're like, what the?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So Dean, I know that you're here in Hawaii over on Maui, and like this whole process works.
You're doing it all over the world.
Yeah, for homes everywhere.
Talk about some of the countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting. It's grown far quicker than we realized.
Yeah.
And sort of trying to keep track of it all is the hard part. But yeah, we have 3 properties in France right now, Mexico, Honduras, Rhode Island, all the way to Kauai.
Nice.
But, very focused on Hawaii. Have a whole bunch of properties in Maui, Kauai. We have several in Kauai, a couple in the Big Island, and we're moving into Oahu. Thanks to you guys.
I think a lot of times too, to kind of like rephrase what you're saying and then put it into like a different perspective so people can easily digest this, because it's a new concept. Is what we're finding is with people that let's say like it's a $4 million property. And most of the time, people are there for like a month or two, and they really enjoy the property while they're there, but it's not enjoyable when they're dealing with it when they're back home and they have to deal with.
Well, let's use our property as an example.
Yeah.
So this is a beautiful oceanfront home on Sunset Beach.
Yeah,
and you could own it for $1.1 million.
Right.
And how does that work, Dean?
1.1. Let's use this exact example. Yes. So walk us through how that's going to work.
Yeah. Right. So let's just say we've got 4 people together. They're each going to pay $1.1 million cash typically.
Yep.
And so we will basically facilitate the process of interviewing these parties, making sure we have a suitable match, negotiating the terms of the LLC, which is what's the ownership period or how long do they want to stay in, and those terms. Form the LLC. The LLC basically presents a cash offer to the seller to purchase the property.
Yes.
We stay on as LLC manager. We take all of the expenses for the last 12 months, and we create a budget for the next 12 months. And the beauty of this is, these people are paying $1.1 million for a quarter interest. That means they get 3 months of use, typically broken up into 1-month increments and spread throughout the year. They're only paying one quarter of the expenses. So, for most people, that's the biggest issue. Is number one is most people can't justify purchasing because they can't use it enough.
Yeah.
And what we're realizing right now in the current climate of real estate is that expenses are going through the roof. Right. Yeah. Everyone's dealing with
insurance
and
tariffs.
Up and tariffs. We got everything.
Yeah.
We got everything. So I think expenses are really taking its toll on owners, and I think that. When you're only using a house 2 months a year, which is the average in West Maui, to be paying all 12 months of expenses at the current, rates of expenses,
and they're only increasing,
and they're going up. So everyone's looking for how do we sort of resolve this? And in the past, I think vacation renting has carried us in large part through this sort of dilemma of how do we pay for the unused time that we're paying for, and as that tightens up and restrictions are put in place, and as expenses supersede what you can rent for, people are looking for an alternative and a new solution. And I think ultimately, the slowdown in the market we're currently seeing is because people are stepping to the sidelines to wait and see what happens in the market. And I think that we as real estate agents need to be creative and think outside the box and find solutions like this to be able to draw those people back in from the sidelines.
Well, they're
really a big part of what we're doing.
They're everybody's objective with the vacation and luxury vacation home is the enjoyment of that while you're there. It's almost like let's go through the FAQs, because one of them we talked about yesterday with our client was with you on there was how do I know I'm not going to get the rainy months or the foggy months? How do you talk about, explain that, how that works to make it fair and equitable for all the owners?
Sure. It's a little bit like a fantasy football draft, right?
Yeah.
And we create an order, a priority selection order based on who signs up first, and that'll be, 1 through 4. And then we break the 3-month increments into 1 month, and we give a selection process for each month. So that for the first month, the selection order will be 1, 2, 3, 4. The second month will be 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the third month will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that order, a priority order, will rotate one position every year. So that it's sort of a constantly evolving. No one's locking in 1 month every year.
Yep.
It's going to be slowly changing and evolving and spread throughout the year based on the selection order. And it really seems to work well so far. And everyone's been very satisfied with that.
And I know what people are thinking. Grandma's 100th birthday. What if it's in January and I don't get that month? I'm sure you guys can facilitate a call to the other people and say, my grandma's turning 100, January 10th. Right. Can I swap months with you?
Yeah. And no one messes with grandma. So,
That's
I always say
don't mess with grandma.
9 times out of 10, we're able to accommodate those exchanges and trading time. And what we do is basically if you take someone else's 1 week, we facilitate the trade of another week. So we try to keep the usage to the same amount so we can track and make sure people aren't going over the allotted time and keeping track of the priority switch every year and the budgeting and the bill paying. And those are all the things that we do for these owners so that they don't have to deal with it.
I think
that's one of the biggest challenges.
You take away the headaches.
Yeah.
You take away those headaches.
Yeah. There's three words I want to cover with you, Dean. There's control, right? There's people like, I want to control the property. And then there's the use of it. Well, I really only enjoy it when I'm using it. And statistically, that's 2 months out of the year. And then there's the responsibility. Right. So if you want 100% control, you have 100% responsibility. But why, if your use is only a couple months out of the year? Share it.
Yes. Well, sharing is caring.
Never ends. Yep. And maintenance never ends, right?
Yeah.
It's constant. You have to sort of stay on it. And it's very frustrating for people. I hear it every day, right? That people own these beautiful properties and they're sitting vacant.
So Dean, with that being said, these owners that are already owning these homes and only using it, 2-3 months max, they could put their home on the market and retain one of the shares.
If you're a seller that doesn't want to sell, we have a solution.
That's right. Let's talk about that.
We want to talk to you. We want to talk to people who don't want to sell.
They're coming closer to the radio.
I think it's a really good point because I think there are a lot of people who really are in love with their properties that are being sort of beat up by all the expenses and dealing with all the maintenance.
Property tax.
It's a great way. If you own that $4 million property that you talked about, where you only use it 2 months a year, you could get $3 million of your $4 million back. You still have 3 months of use. And you're only paying 1/4 of the expenses for a set period of time, at which time it sells, and that you get the rest of your money back. Sort of a great way to phase out of a property. But, you relieve yourself of all the responsibility of maintenance. You still have 3 months. You're only paying 1/4 of the expenses. But the beauty of it is you got now $3 million in your pocket.
Yeah. There are a lot of...
that, I think, is really interesting, I think.
Yeah, our clients specifically in this situation, the parents bought this property in the 80s. I think it was like $5. And
a family home, a lot of memories, a lot of emotion.
Fast forward today, it's $4 million. They got, the property taxes have gone up, obviously, a lot. And the maintenance, it's beachfront. But there's a lot of emotional attachment for the family with this property. So, like you said, a way to ease out of that, or maybe not even ease out of that, is just spread that share. So here's my idea, Dean. For every closing, you need to get a basket, and inside that basket is going to have all those goodies. But in the center of that basket is going to be the Care Bear, the sharing Care Bear, because sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing and caring Care Bear is what's going to be given to all the owners.
Might be our new mascot. I like it. But the truth is, you're a real estate broker just like I am, and there's no seller that doesn't think their property is worth more than any other individual in the world.
Yes.
Right. That's always a struggle for people to let go, especially when you talk about raising kids and growing up in an area. And I think the beauty of this is that, we're not you don't have to sell. You could stay on and let us take care of this property for you. Because from what I could gather from the lady we spoke with yesterday, she's just being overwhelmed. It's so much.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's hard to enjoy the property when you're so bogged down with all the needs, all the maintenance, all the expense that's required.
I think it's
I think that's their challenge.
So
it's like she's maintaining her enjoyment of it, but spreading out the responsibility. Go ahead, Adrienne.
Yep. So I guess one of the things with the Kohana homes, you had mentioned that with luxury real estate, Dean, and you've been doing this a long time. It was sold differently before, and what we're seeing now is that you just have to kind of shift what you're doing. And let's go a little deeper on that. What have you seen specifically with luxury as to why this Kohana works so well
today versus the before?
Yeah, good question. Right. The big difference really is, I think, expenses. That's really changed our world, and I think it's really forced people into the selling mode.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the primary differences. I think that the market is really slowed down quite a bit for the super high end, which is always the first to react to the market. Most people tell me, your segment of the market should be great. They got money. Well, they're also the smart people who know what's coming when they see interest rates go up or when they see the warning. So, I think that we're seeing properties sitting, and I think we're seeing that the solutions that worked in the previous cycle, that ended in 2001 with the peak, are not working like it used to work in the last cycle. So as everyone gravitates to the sidelines, everyone is asking for new solutions and new ideas to be able to get these people off the sidelines and get this market invigorated. But I think ultimately we're seeing a lot of people sitting around waiting and watching right now, and luxury has become difficult to sell. It's the truth.
Well, it's
become harder.
Yeah, it's very susceptible to cyclical changes in the economy. It's like hot dogs and lobster. Economy's not doing too good. We're eating a lot of Costco hot dogs, and when it's a baller time and everybody's doing well, we're having a lot of lobster thermidor. But the other thing I wanted to mention too, from the buyers, you've had buyers that said this. People, if you think about it as human beings, we don't want the property, we want the experience. So I think you mentioned it, that somebody who buys $1 million for the Sunset Beach property, now they have $1 million to go spend on the Honduras one, $1 million to spend on the Balboa one.
Yeah, actually, Dean was sharing with us yesterday a client who did exactly that.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, share with us that success story.
So we had a client looking for a property in New York, and when we stumbled into him, we had this great conversation that he was really torn between New York and Park City. And so we introduced the idea of buying he actually now turns out he's going to buy 50% interest in a New York property.
Nice.
25% in a Park City property, and now he's considering a 25% interest in Florida.
Oh.
Nice.
So you think about the experience, right? So now all of a sudden, instead of buying 3 properties and paying all the bills for all 3 properties, or be limited to one location, he can have it all. And that's really the fun part about it. And the other fun part about it is, if you had $1.1 million and you went to the North Shore of Oahu, you probably wouldn't get a whole lot for $1.1 million.
No.
Right? You wouldn't Ocean View.
I think you get one. You get one vacant lot across the street with one porta potty.
Maybe.
Exactly.
And then big angry signs that says no parking.
Exactly.
You walk your pit bull.
Exactly right. Right.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, right? What does 1.1 million get you? It really doesn't get you anything.
No.
Nothing with a view. But yet now we're giving you an opportunity for your 1.1 million to have the house on Sunset Beach. That's insane.
I look at it this way.
For me, it makes a lot of sense.
I love custard pie, but I eat a whole one. If Adrienne wasn't around, probably I would be sick. But I'd rather just enjoy one piece of pumpkin pie, and then that experience is not ruined for me. There's a Dean, have you heard of the book How to Die with Zero? It's written by the author. His name is Bill Perkins. He's a financial guy, made lots of money, blah, 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 blah. But it just reminds me of your client buying in all these different places. He said the definition of life at the end of it, when you're on your deathbed and doing the rewind, is the definition of happiness is that when you reflect back, have you strung together a whole bunch of awesome experiences? And I think this concept is going to allow people to string together a whole bunch of
just be smarter. Be smarter with their resources. Yeah. It's like.
And the beauty of it is we're creating these sharing arrangements, but ultimately they'll sell on the regular market like any other real estate. So it's still a legitimate real estate asset. You're getting the upside or downside, but it's a legitimate asset that you'd be able to now have all these great experiences. And if you think about family is always a part of these experiences, now you're bouncing around all over the country. I'm already in.
Or the world.
I've got 3 properties already. I'm Maui, West Seattle, and Austin.
Not only
thinking, at some point.
Not only are you the president of the Men's Hair Club, but you're a member. You're buying your own product. No, but Dean has a fine head of hair. He's not part of the Men's Hair Club. But.
Dean, we just have a couple minutes left. So if there's anything that we did not touch on that you wanted to make sure that our listeners know, we've got to do that, and then we're going to wrap up the show.
Tell us now.
Yeah, that's a good question. I should be more prepared for that. But I think ultimately I would encourage you to pay attention to your new listing that's coming up.
Yes.
On the North Shore, and watch what we do with that property, because I think that's going to be the first one on Oahu, obviously, and it'll give everyone a sense of how this works and how it makes sense.
Well,
so I'm really excited about it, and I encourage everyone to sort of pay attention to that listing.
We are super excited.
I think Billy Crystal said it best. It's going to be marvelous.
Yes. Well, thank you,
marvelous,
Dean.
Exactly. And then also, last thing is, if you have a chance, check out our website, which is actually a really good resource for us. It's kohanahomes.com. And then you'll see all of our properties. We've got properties all over the place.
All over the world.
It's everything, It's mostly all resort areas, vacation destinations.
Yeah.
But check it out. The website will give you a good idea of what we're up to.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and look forward to working with you guys.
Yes,
all right.
Us too.
Anybody out there has got some questions on that particular situation or that scenario, feel free to give us a call, 799-9596. Again, that number is 799-9596. We're doing one. We're making it happen.
Sunset Beach, $1.1 million.
Gets you on the beach. You can be like a total whatever. Like you don't have to own the Quicksilver Company or Town and Country, and you can be a baller owning this piece of heaven right there on the beach in Sunset. All right.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and thank you to our sponsors.
Jody and Derek of Pacific Rim Mortgage.
Bradley with Allstate Insurance.
Kenji with Pillar to Post Home Inspections.
John with Kilauea Pest Control.
Duke with Hawaii Pacific Property Management.
Robinson Fine Line Paint Works.
Amphi with Estate Planning Group.
Jason Wu, Attorney at Law.
Rhino with Hawaii Unified.
Janice of Dreamhouse Drafting.
Fabio with Hawaii Water Damage Restoration.
Kyle of Impact Wealth.
And Brian of Cleanscape LLC. If you want to get a hold of any of our sponsors, all you got to do is go to teamlally.com.
We also want to give a big thank you to Leah Rodriguez, our producer here in studio.
And Sheen, our video producer. Chee-hoo!
Make sure to tune in next week. We'll have an awesome guest talking about something that'll change your life
forever. This is the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the guaranteed
sold program. If we can't sell your home at the agreed upon price and or time frame, we'll have it bought for cash.
Thanks and aloha.